Welcome back to this channel. It's your resident internet psychic medium and spiritual advisor, Mystic Rain. And today I'm going to try really hard not to trigger you, but something tells me that some of you may be triggered. So today I want to talk about inner power again, specifically about what you need to do to accept that it exists. I think that a lot of people have a very logical knowing that, like, of course I have inner power. But I also think that the journey to get there, like that road to acceptance of your inner power and who you are, can sometimes be a long road. And sometimes people are not necessarily given tools or breakdowns on specifically what they need to do in order to get there. I understand that people get the concept. Of course you understand the concept. Yes, inner power, it's amazing. It sounds great, right? But how do I get there? What can I do in order to assist me on that journey, in order to really accept myself, love myself, come into myself, and allow myself to unapologetically be myself? And so for today's video, I'm going to try to help you do that. So without further ado, class is in session. So I am trying to be mindful of my impact. I always say to people that it's not your intention, that it's your impact. And a number of you have been reaching out, letting me know that I can occasionally have an impact. This video isn't necessarily intentionally to try to trigger you. There will be times where I may intentionally try to do that. This is not one of those. However, it is a subject that could potentially trigger you, but it's not an intentional thing. It's just a subject thing. Okay. The first thing you need to do is accept that finding your inner power, stepping into your power, first requires that you address buried wounds, because transformation requires a level of healing. You cannot transform if you don't heal. You can't heal if you don't acknowledge the wounds, the hurt, the pain that you are carrying, that you have been carrying, and for whatever reason throughout life you chose not to deal with. And that could be because maybe you didn't feel like dealing with it for that day, but it can also be larger things like survival, right? Sometimes we don't deal with things because we need to survive. And sometimes dealing with things that hurt is an inconvenience to our survival today. And so we don't deal with it. But in order for you to properly step into your power, you need to find a time when you deal with that. Because once you deal with it, once you accept it, once you honor it, it can no longer haunt you, and people can no longer use it to throw in your face. In order to do that, you have to start confronting your limiting beliefs, your self-limiting beliefs. And with the confrontation of all those things, it is going to start to regurgitate all of those experiences you've had throughout life that created the self-limiting belief in the first place. Because the one thing about self-limiting beliefs is that no one intentionally puts them there. No one intentionally picks up a self-limiting belief throughout life. It doesn't work that way. When kids are fully in their youth, prior to the world getting their hands on them, kids are bold and vivacious and unapologetic and fearless, and they are risk takers. They don't have any limited beliefs yet. That's why when you are a teenager, you do dumb shit, because at that point in time in life, you are invincible. You haven't yet developed a whole lot of limiting beliefs. Now, limiting beliefs, I don't think is necessarily a bad thing, because it serves a purpose. The purpose is to protect you. The purpose is to manage your own expectations so your feelings are not hurt. There's a purpose to it, right? But with knowing that there's a purpose to it, we can also accept the fact that maybe there's greater purpose in other things. Maybe there are other things that are out there that can get us farther than this limiting belief. Because even though this limited belief is meant to protect certain aspects of self, it protects certain aspects of self through limiting the self, not expanding the self. It protects the self through fear, not through empowerment. And we want to move to a place where we are protecting the self, but through empowerment, when we are honoring the self, but through empowerment. Self-limiting beliefs are also the lies that we tell ourselves. We tell ourselves lies every single day. we have to confront those lies and replace them with truth. But we have to go deep within to figure out the list of all the lies, right? A common lie that people say to themselves is, I'm stupid, right? Maybe you say it when you make a mistake. And there's so many reasons for why you can develop that limiting belief. Somebody could have said it to you. Simple as that. Maybe you had a teacher who was not very supportive. Maybe your mother was not very supportive. And so you walked away thinking that you were stupid. And the way that that limiting belief protects you is if you think you're stupid, it can't hurt your feelings if somebody else calls you stupid. Because the self-limiting belief will say, yeah, I know that already. Why are you saying that? Right? And so I actually remember meeting this person one time who, within the first 2-3 minutes of meeting her, she called herself slow. I said something to her and she said, "Oh my God, I didn't know that." And then she went, "But don't mind me. I'm known for being slow. I'm not the smartest out there." And I remember thinking, "Oh my God." One, I don't know actually how to respond to that because well, you're a stranger and I'm completely thrown off. But two, how sad is it that you're walking around thinking that you're so stupid that you have to apologize to a stranger when I didn't even hold that thought of you? At no point in time in our 2 to 3 minute interaction did I ever think that you were stupid or less than smart. But something happened with interaction where you thought that I would think you were. And so instead of allowing me to beat you to it, you got there first. And then you ended up calling yourself stupid, which I found sad. We have a tendency to collect our limiting beliefs around times when we are making mistakes. But mistakes are necessary to grow. It is unreasonable to think that you will do everything right the first time you're doing it every single time. It's also unreasonable to think that even if you're doing something for the 100th time, that it will be right then. Maybe you're just off that day. Maybe you forgot. Who cares? Another common belief that we say to ourselves is, I can't do that. That's very common. And the reason for that limiting belief is oftentimes because you don't want to fail. Maybe there was a time where you were really confident about what you could do. You were confident about your skill set. Even if it wasn't a skill that you had, maybe you're like, okay, I get that it's the first time, but I can totally do that. And it just didn't work out for you in that moment. Or maybe you did something that did work out for you, but you came across an asshole who completely was dismissive of everything you did and told you that you can't do that. Maybe you had a dream, a thought, a desire that you wanted to act on, and someone said, you can't do that. And that hurt you. And sometimes things like that happen in childhood and adolescence. So we may not even know the specific memory of when triggered it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we haven't been holding on to it all of these years. And again, right, something like I can't do that is meant to protect you, but it's doing it from the place of fear. If it prevents you from trying in the first place, then there's nothing for you to be mad at when you fail. There is also a list of limited beliefs that I have here that was specifically channeled. I wanted to know specifically what was sitting in this group of us, right? Like what was the most common is what I had looked for. And the first most uncommon thing that came up, which I actually was really surprised about, is I'm not fit. So I'm not fit, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I can't fit that, or I can't fit in that. And because of that, it has escalated to I can't wear that, or everyone can see how bad I look in that. And because of this, I don't know how else to say this because it actually makes me sad. When I channeled it, I actually got really teary-eyed. Was you have taken that limiting belief and you have stretched it so far where it has turned into, because of that, nobody will ever love me. And the reason why no one will ever love me is because no one will ever be attracted to me. How can someone possibly find me attractive when I don't find myself attractive? Right? Why would anyone ever want to be around me? Why would anyone ever want to be my friend? A huge limiting belief in this group at the moment is because of how you feel about how you look. That is a major reason as to why you're showing up in the world in the way that you're currently showing up in the world. I will get on your case about this later. Another One that I have is I can't find any friends. Or finding friends is so hard. That's another one I channeled. Um, the interesting thing about this is that it's not really about friends. It's more so about maybe that you are someone that's actually kind of shy, or maybe you are someone that's just socially awkward around large groups. And so, because of that, you're actually really nervous, or maybe you don't know what to say, or you don't necessarily know how to interact with people. But instead of acknowledging that aspect of things, because if you acknowledge that, it would require that you grow, right? You have flipped it and turned it into, well, no one wants to be my friend. No one likes me, right? It's not your fault because it's a self-limiting belief. The self-limiting beliefs are really there as a way of protecting you. If it's everybody else's fault, then you don't have to confront what you've been holding on to. Another interesting thing about this limited belief is the fact that it actually keeps people away from you. So as much as you're saying, oh, I want a friend, I want a community, I want a group of people that love me, that I love, that I care about, by holding this limiting belief, you're actually keeping people away from you, right? You're pushing people away from you because there's an assumption that you're holding that they didn't want to be your friend anyway. And so when you are doing that, there's also this element of not putting in enough effort or trying hard enough in order to create those relationships in the first place. As a consequence of that, because now it's steamrolling, you don't get out much. You don't get out much because, and you don't get out much, and you don't go places because you don't have anyone to go with. You don't want to go by yourself. Going by yourself causes a lot of anxiety, or you don't have the time. I channeled that. When really you're not going anywhere because you're anxious and you're nervous. And for some of you, you're not going places because you're actually concerned about money. You feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be spending that at this time. And so you don't go out. You have found all these reasons to not go out. And then that then continues this process. And then you start manifesting, not enjoying the holidays, and not going on vacation. What is it about some of you that have this limited belief about there is no money for gifts? Some of you are holding this limited belief that during holiday time, like Christmas time, you don't have enough money for gifts. Or that you need to budget really heavily in order to give gifts. And for some of you, the idea of holidays approaching actually really stresses you out because the limiting belief of not having enough to give is so strong that you actually ended up not enjoying it. There's also something here for some of you about not going on vacations or postponing your vacations due to there not being enough money. And so what you end up doing is saying, well, maybe next time. The problem is there's never a next time. What ended up happening is that you ended up giving away your power to self-doubt. So now that we know where our power is, it's hanging out over there with self-doubt. Now that we have an awareness of where it lives over there with self-doubt, now we can go to self-doubt and take that shit back. First things first, because it's self-doubt, it's of the self. You must now accept that the only thing that's kept you from stepping into your power has always been and will always be you. Why would you ever be good enough if you are choosing to cling to this narrative? Why would you ever be lovable when you spend all of your days hating yourself? How will you ever reach a place where you can embrace your talents if you spend every day telling yourself that you can't do it? Why would you ever find yourself attractive if you spend your energy telling yourself that you're too fat or you're too skinny? You sit here, you say, I don't have friends, and then you're upset about it, but you're not leaving the house. How are new friends supposed to find you if you're not leaving the house? And now you've chosen to skip that vacation. And so because you skipped it, now you're at home bored. But you're bored because you never gave yourself the opportunity to explore. Your spirit sang out, wanting to see the world, and you said no, and now you're bored. But guess what? Exploration is scary, and it's scary because it's new. You know nothing about it. You've never seen it. Naturally, there's trepidation. You don't even know if you can trust it. But my question for you is, why do you keep assuming that you will wake up in the morning Why are you assuming that you will have another opportunity to finally live your life? You are where you are now because you never gave yourself the opportunity to win. Imagine being so big of a spirit to incarnate and then be worried about how you look in a dress. No wonder you're searching for your inner power because you were busy giving your power over to a polyester blend. Now, because I don't stand for that, we are going to fix this too, okay? I'm assigning you homework. I need you to create a list. This will go on for 7 to 10 days. This is the length of your project, okay? I need you to create a list. And the list that you are going to create is everything you have ever accomplished, ever. I want you to go back to when you tied your shoes. When was the first time you learned how to tie your shoes? I want that memory on the list, okay? When you first got a driver's license, I want that memory on the list. If you graduated, if you had children and started your family, every time you accomplish something, I want you to write the list of every single accomplishment you have ever had, ever. And I want you to do this for 1 week. I want you to either start your day with this exercise, or I want you to end this day with this exercise. You will either open up your day with this energy, or you will close out your day with this energy. You are going to become accustomed to honoring yourself for whatever it is that you do. And you will do this for 7 days. And the reason why you're going to do this for 7 days is because in the beginning, it's going to be really hard for you to think about things you've accomplished. Because unfortunately, in life, we have a tendency to recall all the bad things prior to recalling the good things. You are also in a habit where you are out of practice of honoring yourself, celebrating yourself, and loving yourself. And so it's going to take you 7 days to get back to a place where you can honor yourself quickly. While writing this list, know that you will get stuck. There will be moments where it's going to be hard to put that pen to paper because you're going to sit there and you're going to say to yourself, I have nothing else. That's why you're going to do this for 7 days. I am going to make you look at yourself and all the beautiful things that you have done for 7 days. And if you want to fix this, you will do this for 7 days. After the 7th day, I want you to rest. God rested on the 7th day. You rest, okay? I want you to rest because I need you to take a moment to allow all of that to process, all of that to sink in, and all of that to stick to the front of your memory, okay? Day 9 and day 10, I'm going to need you to make another list. This is the second part of your project that I'm assigning you. This list will be of all of your limited beliefs. The I am stupid, the I am not good enough, the nobody will ever love me, the I will never find happiness in my life, the nobody likes me, I don't have friends. I need you to write this list for 2 days. Now, one thing you will notice is that this list will come a lot faster to you than the first list. But I only want you to worry about it 2 days because we don't have time for that energy for 7. This is to put it into your awareness, but we're not going to dwell on it, okay? After both lists are written, I want you to then compare them. Because once you compare them, you will start to see that you have the ability to start crossing out some of those self-limiting beliefs because there will be direct contradictions. You will start to see that some of your accomplishments directly contradict some of the self-limiting beliefs that you have. When you can see it, you have the ability to cross it off. But also when you can see it, you know at that point that you're not being rational because you've seen it yourself. It's on paper. You can see that you're not being rational anymore. And sometimes you need to see that. And for your own good, reflect on what you have learned about yourself in those 10 days. And in 10 days, I would actually love it if you guys can come back to this video, drop it in the comments, because I want to know, what did you learn about yourself? Because you probably have learned something about yourself that somebody else just learned. And it may be helpful for each other, for us all to see that we really are all going through the same thing. I'm gonna leave this video here and let you marinate. If you like what you see, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you soon.